So, way back when I first decided that tour reviews were going to be part of my regular programming, my shtick format, whatever the proper term is, uh, I promised myself that no matter how big I got, no matter how many sponsors or incentives or promotional considerations I got, I would always keep it completely real, honest, call a spade, and a duck a duck. And a piece of shit. And I'm not at that point with this yet, but I am a little bit disappointed in one of my favorite brands. Now, as some of you may have already figured out, I'm kind of a Ryobi fanboy. I'll admit it. There's just something about the bright neon green paint and just the reliability of their stuff that, you know, it speaks to me. It floats my boat, right? A bunch of other slightly dirtier euphemisms I could use, but that would just make shit weird. I mean, if you look, there's Ryobi green plastic all over my disaster of a workshop. Okay? So, you can tell right now that kind of sets everything up and should tell you that the purpose of this video is not just to bully or take pot shots at a budget priced brand. This is my old 40 volt cordless string trimmer. Y'all have seen it on the channel several times. Its first appearance was about 11 months ago, around this time last year when I first bought it, so that I could get chores done here around the homestead as far as keeping the canary grass under control and stuff like that without hurting my shoulder having to rip a cord on a gas powered one all the time. Well, we had a pretty long spring rainstorm come through the last couple of weeks, and of course it was too crappy out to do anything as far as yard work goes, so everything kind of got away from me as far as canary grass and stuff like that. Well, yesterday I got in a position where I had a chance to play a little bit of catch up. I grabbed my trusty Ryobi 40 volt trimmer. I banged a battery into it, and I don't know if the microphone on the cameras is picking up the clicking, but I'm squeezing the trigger and nothing's happening. It was making some cool smoke effects at first, but now that's even stopped. And it's a full battery, like all the bars are green. So yeah, that put me in a, of course, absolutely peachy mood yesterday, because I make no secret about how I feel about my big Craftsman 4-stroke, which I have right here. Now, as 4-strokes go, this one wasn't too bad to get started, but it always had a weird oil leak. Never could figure it out. I eventually got it to quit leaking somehow. And then, so I fired this thing up yesterday to finish what I was doing. And after about 15-20 minutes, this tube right here, which runs into the air filter housing and is the crankcase breather, because being a 4-stroke, these have oil in the crankcase. Yeah, it didn't have oil in the crankcase anymore. I had oil all over my shirt. I haven't torn the engine down because what's the point? It obviously broke a compression ring, and I already know that you can't get parts for those tiny little 4-stroke engines other than just simple all-in-one stuff like carburetors. Occasionally you can pick up new recoil starts for them, that kind of thing, because it's all modular. Shit, I don't even know if the head comes off of that. I probably couldn't pull the piston off if I wanted to. So obviously that put me in a less than spectacular mood because, well, I was down to no trimmers. And this place gets out of hand pretty dang fast if I don't have some kind of a working string trimmer or combi tool. Now, last video about these type of doohickeys, we learned my preference is combi tools, and this is why. So, had this one hanging up in the barn. Somebody I used to know had a habit of, they'd buy something, run it, and then the first time it had an issue, instead of trying to fix it or bringing it to me to fix it, they'd just go get a new one. Honestly, it's where every single one of the gas-powered trimmers that you've seen in any of my videos came from. There was a pile of them when that person passed. So I grabbed this one just to see what was up with it. The pull cord was hanging out all bleh, spewy and stuff. So I got it over here to the shop, and what I wound up doing was I tore this apart. I tore the old Craftsman apart. That's why the top cover just kind of fell off when I sat it down. Okay, so this is the original Troy-Bilt recoil, but it's got the Craftsman dogs in it so that it'll actually turn the crank over. The Troy-Bilt primer bulb was in a really weird place. It was actually here and hard as a rock. Like, I knew going in damn well that as soon as I touched that darn thing, it was just going to crumble and explode, and just everybody was going to have a bad time. So here is the Troy-Bilt carburetor, which is probably still perfectly good if I'm completely honest. Just be a bear to get started because you can't prime it. I could have just left everything alone and never touched the primer bulb and made this thing an ether addict, but I didn't want to screw with that in case Cadence has to run it. So I took the Easy Start carburetor off of the Craftsman and adapted everything so it would fit. I still have to screw the plastics down, which I think I'll go ahead and do that right now. So once I get this plastic screwed on, there's one more thing about this cobbled together mess that I wanted to show y'all that is actually the best demonstration yet of why these three brands, Craftsman, Ryobi, and Troy Built, are my favorite in terms of combination tool type string trimmers, yard and garden, lawn and garden equipment. I just got to throw 2 more screws in and then I'll show you. Okay, there. That's screwed down now. So, the reason that my preference is for Troy Built, Craftsman, or Ryobi string trimmers at Combi Tools is right here. That coupler with them 3 holes on it. It's the same as that coupler right there, just with a different sticker on it. And it's functionally slightly different, but fundamentally identical to that one right there. Now, honestly, I like this one a little bit more because swapping tools is just a quarter turn rather than having to unthread something like the other two. But because of this, see, if you look up here, that says Troy Built. That doesn't have branding on it, but it'd be funnier than hell if it did. Honestly, I'm thinking about, after I finish everything when I go to town, getting some like Frankenstein green paint and repainting all the plastics and having somebody with a Cricut make me a sticker that says Frankentrimmer. Um, but because these couplers are the same, all I had to do was loosen up this lock nut so that I could screw this shaft in further. And I can now use Ryobi shafts, which lets me keep my fast speed string head. And because it's adjustable, I can use all my other combination tool attachments. That's a really big deal to me just because in this day and age, it's hard enough getting parts to repair and maintain stuff that's brand new. And I can very rarely afford brand new equipment. I'm usually, and I'm okay with that. I've got the skills to fix just about anything. Um, so I'm usually running secondhand, third hand, God knows how old it is stuff. And parts interchangeability is a big thing for me because in a lot of cases, whatever I'm using has actually been discontinued. So I need to be able to just grab a part off of something else or order a part mint for something else so that I can keep it going. And just because I'm a nice guy, we're rigging up camera 4 here in our nice googe resistant housing. Got it clamped onto the shaft. I'm going to take y'all along for the ride while I go put the Frankentrimmer through its paces. Well, I just got to get my safety gear on and get this puppy fired up, and we'll go see what she can do. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the best trimmer I've ever had. Hard to say, though. And coming up in the near future, I'm going to do a little bit. So, cool thing about it, though, is that 40 volt is actually still under warranty. So, here in the near future, I'm going to do a little bit about just kind of exploring how difficult Home Depot and or Ryobi are about honoring extended warranties, because I absolutely paid the extra $20 when I bought it. So, and in the meantime, hope you enjoy this little ride on my weed whacker. Look, I know it's kind of weird, but it could also be kind of cool. And be safe. Happy homesteading. I'll see you next time.
Since you've made it this far into the video, and I probably need to cover up some kind of obnoxious noises from a piece of machinery, I figure this is as good a time as any to ask you to subscribe. Maybe even give me a like. You can comment too if you want to. I really like it when people tell me where they're from, just because it gives me an idea how far my videos are reaching. And if you look in the description for this video, you'll see a link to a Patreon page. You absolutely don't have to do anything with that if you don't want to, but if you click on it and choose to join, your money will go to helping fund future episodes, buying parts, seeds, plants, bush hippie stuff. Or there's also the possibility that you're my friend's dog and this video was left on to keep you either distracted or calm, in which case, good boy, Scrappy.